I want to talk to you today about content, effortless content, right? Content that you can produce pretty effortlessly without AI, right? Because right now, uh, the gold standard for content is human created content, right? There is a growing movement of people out there who are tired of AI. And the crazy part is a lot of these people are your end users and your customers, okay? They are not the marketers who want to sell stuff to you. They're the people who are buying all the stuff. They are tired of AI. They feel like AI has been forced upon them. They're sick of hearing about it. Now, the numbers tell us that a lot of these people actually use AI for things here and there, but it doesn't matter because they're tired of hearing about it. They don't want to hear about AI. They feel like it's been forced down their throats, and they're sick of it. They're sick of it. That's a lot of people out there. I was reading numbers like half the population feels that way. Half the population feels that. It's probably more because then there's like another 26% that are neutral on it, right? So that means that like we're talking about like 60 to 65% of the population. This is America I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the stats I read were for the United States of America, so I can't speak for the rest of the world. I would imagine it's similar. I would imagine what's happening in America is similar in other parts of the world as well. Um, but uh, but yeah, you're talking about like 65% of the population that either is tired of hearing about AI or they don't care about AI either way. It's not a part of something they think about every day. They don't want to hear about it, right? So that's a lot of people, okay? That's a lot of people who never asked for something, and like here is all these businesses trying to like give them something they didn't ask for. That goes against the very nature of business, period. Usually you find a market, you figure out what they're hungry for, and you serve it up to them. That's how business works. Basic, right? Find a market, figure out what they want, and serve it to them. You find a gap where you don't have to compete with too many people, and you serve it to them. Usually business does not revolve around let me give you something that is 80% as good as what I used to give you, so that I don't actually have to give it to you myself. I can just have this robot do it for me, right? Well, people will notice that 20% decline in quality. They will notice that. And then also they will start to resent it because they start reading articles about how their friends are losing their jobs from AI, right? So they start to resent it. So now that 20% quality decline starts to look a lot bigger. You know what I mean? And it becomes less about the quality of something, and it becomes more about like a principle, right? It becomes more about a principle. Now, this has happened in the past, right? This is history kind of repeating itself. However, this is a little bit different in that I don't think it's ever happened in the past on a scale that it's happening today. By the way, let me tell you where I'm at. And I know there's a cyber truck. I'm at a parking lot. I'm in a parking lot, just hanging out in a parking lot. The mood struck me. I just thought I would, quickly pull out my phone and record this video for you. We're going to be talking really quick. I want to talk to you about effortless content, where you don't have to use, AI to do it. That's what we're going to be talking about today. But that being said, let me just tell you the context. This is why it matters. Human created content that has not been done with AI. You have not cloned yourself, like none of that stuff, man. You're just like making content in the good old fashioned way. Um, what I was explaining to you about how people feel about AI is the reason why there's this growing movement of people who want just regular content that's not been created by AI. That's why. So, anyways, how do you do it? What is this? What's a way to create effortless content? Well, you know what it is. This is one way of many, but one way is unused capacity, right? It's this concept where you basically take time, that you normally wouldn't feel like you had, and you create content with that time, right? So an example of this would be like, a couple summers ago, I decided I was going to start walking for my health, you know? So I was going to start walking a half hour to 40 minutes a day. And I decided I would just start, recording a podcast while I was walking. So now I was going to walk and I was going to do this podcast. But I knew the podcast couldn't be like really, I couldn't plan it out because I was doing it every single day when I was walking. So it's not like I could read bullet points while I was walking, you know what I mean? So it really needed to be a certain kind of podcast, and I called it Thoughts on a Walk. And what I thought was, I'm just going to talk about marketing. Whatever's on my mind as it relates to my business and as it relates to what I do, I'm just going to talk about it while I take my walk. Right. So I started doing these 10 to 15 to 20-minute, little podcast episodes with my phone. I just pulled out my phone and recorded this podcast while I was walking. Now I did that for 100 episodes. I got 100 episodes out of that podcast. Before I think I just kind of gave up on the walking is what happened. So I stopped doing it. But I got 100 episodes out of that thing. And, it was like the easiest podcast I had ever created. And the thing is, generally, I would have thought, okay, well, this like 30 to 40 minutes in the morning is dedicated to my walk, so I'm not going to be working. That's what I would have thought. That time's out. I've allocated that time for workout. I've allocated that time for exercise. That's generally how I would have thought about it. And I would have X'd that hour out of my day and I wouldn't have got anything out of it except exercise, which is great to get the exercise out of it. But, I wouldn't have got much out of it. And now all of a sudden I created this 100 episode podcast that's an asset for me, that's still out there working for me right now. Like I have that thing connected to my X account. So like every single day it just automatically drops another randomly episode onto X. So I'm keeping up to date on my X and keeping something going there every day. But that's just like the gift that keeps on giving. When you create 100 episodes of something, you can use that content in any way you need to use it. But what did I leverage? I leveraged unused capacity, time that I thought was already allocated to something. I was actually able to use it for something else. So it was like getting free time. The concept of, well, how do I come up with something to say every single day, when I don't have bullet points or anything like that? Well, in that case, what I was doing is I was just leveraging something I was already very knowledgeable about. I've been working online for many years, so I understand how my business works. I understand how my market works. So, if I don't have something to say about my market and my business every single day, then there's a good chance I don't know my market well enough. I probably need to figure it out a little bit better. So it wasn't hard for me. I just leveraged my experience. And I leveraged time that I didn't know I had, but that was unused capacity. Another example of this is right now. Like I'm in this parking lot right now. My daughter, she wanted to go to this art class that was being held at the library. And I took her and I'm just hanging out, I'm just hanging out for a couple hours at the library waiting. And I thought, hey, I'm just hanging out here. And what am I doing? What am I doing? Well, I was reading. I was reading a little bit of this book here, Magnetic Marketing, Dan Kennedy, getting a little reading in. And I decided I'd pull my phone out and record this live stream for you guys. That's unused capacity. All right. I'm getting content at a time that I had allocated to take my daughter to the library. Right. This time was already allocated for something else, but I'm getting extra stuff out of it. Now listen, you've caught me at a time where I have just recently launched a product. It's called the New PLR Manifesto, because one of the things I do is I create content for other people. And the New PLR Manifesto is actually a package of 14 emails. All right. They're all human written emails. Okay. These are not AI generated emails. And in fact, to prove that point, what I did was I filmed myself writing all these emails over 5 hours. So I take all my customers along with me on the creative process to write these emails. And I package those 14 videos up with the 14 emails. So you get to see the whole thing play out. So without a shadow of a doubt, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that these emails that you have purchased are written by a human who has experience in what they are doing. Um, and you can trust the fact that you're getting the genuine article. So it's pretty cool. But anyways, if you're interested in that product, it's called the New PLR Manifesto, and you can find it at epicconversions.com/no AI emails, right? No AI emails. epicconversions.com/no AI emails. epicconversions.com/no AI emails. That's the new PLR manifesto on sale now from Epic Conversions from me. And you might think, well, how much is that thing, man? You spend all that time recording all those emails. You spend all that time writing that stuff without AI. How much is it? How much is we're talking like $100? What are we talking about? What are you charging for this? By the way, these emails come with a PLR license. So not only can you use these emails in your autoresponder, but you can actually package them up and resell them. Okay. So that's pretty cool. But the question was, how much am I charging for it? Well, until the end of Saturday. So for the next few days here, I'm going to be charging $20. $20, man. That's the launch price special. Launch price special for 4 days, starting today, Wednesday, April 15th, 2026. This package of emails, the new PLR manifesto, is $20, right? And then what'll happen is on Saturday, at the end of Saturday at midnight, I'm gonna raise the price to 24. I think I said 24.97. So they're gonna go up a little bit in price, but they're not gonna go up a crazy amount, right? It's gonna be like basically gonna go up to $25. It's gonna be going up by $5. So yeah, that's what's going on with me right now. But now I don't know if you've noticed, but I have just done a video. I don't know how long we've been talking, maybe 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. We've been sitting here talking, and I've talked to you about my new product. I've given you a little bit of value with unused capacity. This is something you can use to great effect, okay? Unused capacity. In fact, the new PLR manifesto, and when you think about these 14 videos that I did, okay? Consider this. Consider this for a second. The 14 videos that I got, the proof of authenticity that the proof of authenticity that the new PLR manifesto, those emails were written by me, not by an AI, and they came from my mind. That all came because I recorded myself writing the emails. So think about that for a second. I was writing emails. I was going to write them anyway, but instead of getting one piece of content out of it, instead of getting one product out of it, I recorded videos, and I got two major assets out of it, two major pieces of content out of it. I got the 14 emails, which is a package, but I also got 14 videos, over 5 hours of video content. I didn't do anything extra for that work. Do you understand? I was already going to write those emails. The only thing I did extra was I recorded myself writing the emails, and I was able to use that. I am able to use that as a selling point on my sales page. Why does it matter? It matters, again, because there's a growing number of people out there who are tired of AI. So if I say, hey, I recorded myself writing these emails, 14 video proof of me writing these emails and taking you on a journey through my creative process, guess what? That's a selling point on my sales page, all right? And it was not hard for me to do. That was unused capacity. It was time. That 5 hours was time that I thought was dedicated to me writing those emails, was time that I thought was dedicated to me generating a product, creating a product, creating a product for end customer, end user. But what I realized was I was able to double dip. I was able to get more out of what I was doing than what the average person would get out of something like that, right? So this idea of unused capacity, it's powerful because what it allows you to do is it allows you to put like one unit of energy in and get two pieces of productivity back, right? And whenever you can put one in and get two back, whether it's dollars, whether it's energy, whether it's productivity, whatever it is, whenever you can do that, usually you can win. Okay, you can compete. So that's why it's been very, very powerful to me. And again, I could give you story after story after story after story, but that's just a couple examples of unused capacity and how I've been able to use it to get ahead in my business. And you can do the same thing. So, anyways, if you want to learn more about what I do, a great starting point is picking up the new PLR manifesto. That's at epicconversions.com/no AI emails. epicconversions.com/no AI emails. epicconversions.com/no AI emails. I'm Cam from epicconversions.com, and I will see you in there. Peace now.